Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. Thank you so much for coming back. Thank you to the subscribers. Thank you to those that have liked and shared. Thank you. It's Dr. Kasempa Monze, or just KP, and I will continue to emphasize because this is who I am. This is how I want you to relate to me. You can still call me doctor. I mean, it's sort of who I am still. So I know I talked about what you're supposed to expect in the intro video, but today I'm going to talk a little bit more about my medical experience in Russia and how I got to where I am today, medical wise. But before I continue, please do like, please do share, and subscribe to this video, and tell a friend to tell a friend. Okay, let's get right to it. So I went to medical school in 2011, September 25th. No, that's when I went to Russia. So I studied in Russia, and I know a lot of people will go, oh my gosh, she studied in Russia. Yeah, I did. And a lot of us studied there. And guess what? We survived. We actually did survive. I mean, we're here. Condolences to all the families that did lose a friend, a son, a daughter. Yes, there were such instances, but that's story for another day. So, I studied in Russia, Moscow. I started from Rostov, a southern city close to the Caspian Sea, I believe, or the Black Sea. One of the two, I really can't remember. So I did my language year there, my basic sciences, and when I was done with that, when it was time to get into actual medical school, I got a transfer. The reasons I got a transfer are a story for a whole other day. So I went to Moscow State University of Medicine and Dentistry, which is located in Moscow, obviously. It's called the third med by other people, by most people, because there's like the first med, the second med, and then ours was the third med. I did 6 years of medicine there, as compared to 7 years here and 5 years in China. So yeah, each country has their own preference. I am not about to start explaining that. Just know I did 6 years, I graduated, and now I'm a doctor, and things are going well. Yes. So I did 6 years of medicine in Moscow. The first year, like I mentioned, of basic sciences and language was focused more on the language than the basic sciences because all my instruction was in Russian. So lectures, exams, tests, continuous assessments, seminars, labs, everything. All of it was in Russian. Ask anyone that goes to Russia. Okay, ask anyone that goes to Russia to study on government sponsorship, because I received a government scholarship, and I am thank you to the government of the Republic of Zambia and the government of the Russian Federation for sponsoring me, because who knows? Let's get into the whole medical journey. So first challenge was the fact that it's all Russian based. Okay. And you can't really study a course like medicine in a language you've only learned for 9 months, because to be honest, I only did the language for 9 months. Obviously we continued learning it whilst in medical school itself, but it was science based, and medicine itself is not the easiest of courses to study, and to bring it to you in a language that's foreign to your mother tongue or to a language that you're used to speaking it's different. It's hard. And that was one of the big things that made it really, really hard to study there. But we survived. I'll keep saying it. We survived. Second thing was the lecturers. Some lecturers were very blunt about asking why we are in Russia, why we couldn't study in our own country, what we were doing there, how we were slowing everybody down. Because every now and then, obviously, we would ask questions like, could you explain that again? Had it been in English, it would have probably been something very straightforward. Not easy, but at least straightforward, because this is a language you know. This is a language you understand. But no, the lecturers were impatient. Most of them, at least. There were some really good ones that I guess had a lot of experience teaching foreign students, that they had no problem with making it easier for us to understand. So the third problem was some of the patients we encountered were very skeptical about being seen by foreign students. Well, first of all, they didn't even want to be seen by students. And to make matters worse, you're a foreigner. So they're just thinking, who are you? What do you want? What are you trying to do to me? Because obviously we know medicine is a practice. And the practice starts very early during your studies. So you have to interact with the patients for you to understand these conditions and eventually know how to treat them. But some patients were very clear about not wanting to be seen by students, let alone foreign students, and if you will allow me to say, black students. That was me and my girl. I won't mention her name for privacy's sake. Yes, but there was only two of us, me and another girl from another country in Africa. So that was the third challenge we faced. The fourth challenge was how when we got to the hospitals, we were there, but in a room being taught, like, imagine going to the doctor's room, for example, and that's where we would have our lecture, and the teacher would tell us this and that, and we'll only go see the patients for like 5 to 10 minutes. And I'm going to be open about this because that's what happened in my university. It might be different for other universities, so I speak for myself, okay? And a few other people that might relate to this. We didn't have enough exposure to the patients. And practical. So in Zambia, I'll speak for Zambia because I don't know what happens in the rest of the world, except Russia. In Zambia, when you get into medical school, by the third year of the 7, by year 3 of the 7, you go to the actual medical school, not the general university that has your natural sciences and the like. And from the 5th year, you start your clinical sciences that help you interact with the patients. And here, you have so much time on the ward as compared to time in the theoretical classes. Now, I stand to be corrected, but that's how much I know about what goes on here. And while in Russia, you only get to see the patients for 10 to 15 minutes of the 3 hours that you're going to spend in a seminar with the teacher, and that's really it. So there's that. Now you see your exposure and how often you get to see certain conditions is compromised because you don't see them. Okay. So another challenge we faced was the fact that Russia is in the northern hemisphere. Why do I say that? They don't get that many tropical diseases. The amount of time we spent treating tropical diseases or learning about tropical diseases was very, very limited. Now you see, coming from a tropical country like Zambia, you're expected to know these things like the back of your palm. But that side, they just touched them. They just introduced them and even said, oh, by the way, the foreigners, make sure you go to your country so that you see these things even more. Which brings me to the 5th thing that made it hard studying there. As a foreign student, it wasn't always easy to come back. The cheapest ticket I ever bought, well, that one was really cheap, but average ticket price to come back home was like $1,500. And it's not very easy to come by $1,500 every year to come home to do rotations. Rotations did have an added advantage though. When you did come, you got exposed, you got to meet doctors that you are almost assured you keep in contact with. And so you are able to ask about conditions and you're able to ask for material and you get to interact with people that will help you understand the way medicine is done in Zambia as opposed to the way medicine is done in Russia. You get to meet the locally trained students, some of which were open to helping you understand things the Zambian way, if that's allowed. People who say medicine is medicine all over the world. It's a lie. It is. Because you know what? The medicine here, the medicine in London, the medicine in Russia, the medicine in Colombia, which I'm going to talk about in another video, is totally different. Okay? We might be treating the same diseases, but how we treat them, not the same. Anyways, yeah. So it was hard to get that exposure because we didn't always get time. We didn't always have money to come back. And I'll be honest, I only came back twice. The 2 times I came back helped, but not nearly enough. And for example, I'll give an example. Both times that I came, I rotated through surgery, medicine, and obstetrics and gynecology. Not once did I touch the pediatric department. So coming back and doing pediatrics here was like starting from scratch, because even my professor hated us. Hated us. Outright hated us. He did not even hide it. He would say, "Oh, what does the nigga want to say now?" Sorry if I've used the word very loosely, but yes, there were some teachers, there were some people that used it very openly. And just to avoid confrontation, I'll just, look aside, because I needed the education. I needed to leave the place a doctor. Okay? Lastly, but not the least, we did have a few racist people that made it really hard for us, whether it was our classmates or our professors. Like I've mentioned earlier, there were people that were very direct about calling us names and using our skin color to make life harder for us. You will hear from quite a lot of people the word abizanka. Abizanka means monkey. Yeah, a lot of people called us that. Or chocolate. I like being called chocolate because I am dripping chocolate. But there were some words that were very unfriendly and made it very hard for us. Anyway, back to the medicine. The challenges that we faced: the Russian-based, the professors, the patients, the lectures. Oh, did I mention our exams were oral? Yeah, our exams were all oral. We never had written exams. We would have tests, A, B, C, D, but that was really it. We'd never have essay. We would never have essay-based. We would never have essay-based questions. And so you would get into the exam room and get a piece of paper with minimum of 2 questions, maximum of 5. If you ever got anything more than that, and I really don't know. I don't know. Yeah. So you have a minimum of 2 and a maximum of 5 questions. And they'll give you like 20 to 30 minutes to jot down answers, like to help you when you go. And when you sit in front of the examiner, he asks, "Okay, question 1, go ahead." And you, talk and talk and talk and explain. And when you're done, he's like, "Okay, next question." When he sees that you know it, he would even say, "Okay, stop, next question." But when he sees that you're doubting what you're talking about, he'll be like, what about this? And what about that? He'll try to help you get to the answer, or he'll try to squeeze it out of you. And more often than not, he'll just be like, "Okay, next. And if you manage to get 3 out of 5 questions, then it's a pass. But if you only got 2 questions, they'll tell you to reset it. You'd have to come back. That made it hard to get used to the way things are done here, because sometimes, and I'll be honest with you, sometimes you would study for an exam, not really study, you just cram. Like a night before, you sit down and cram the modules, cram the past papers, and when the exam came, if you were lucky, you got questions that you crammed and you answer them. And later on, you realize you don't actually know the topics and you don't actually know what you were doing. And that made it hard when you came back, because here you're expected to know everything that you went through in medical school. You were allowed to forget, but not all the time. It's medicine. I mean, these are people's lives. So yeah, those are some of the challenges we faced studying there, or I faced. Let me speak for myself, because some people had it easier, had it better. Some universities like Ruden, or our People's Friendship University, or university named after Patrice Lumumba, I think they had it easier because there were more foreigners, so there were more professors that spoke English and or French to help the foreigners, making their medical experience just a little bit easier than the rest of us that studied in Russian full time. But fun fact, I did become a translator and eventually got the language. I speak it quite fluently now, and no regrets. Yeah, no regrets. Coming back home, the one thing you always think to yourself, I have to remember that thing in Russian, what's it in Russian? And then come back and, that's what it is in English. And you're like, this is not gonna work. But with time, it got easier. Yeah. So that's really it. That was my medical experience in Russia. I don't think there's anything I haven't said, but if there is, I'll probably hit it up in another video. You'll hear about it. Next time, I'm probably going to be talking about my social experience and some very weird myths you hear about Russia that I'm going to correct for all of you. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for listening. Thank you for liking and subscribing. Please tell a friend to tell a friend, and see you in the next video.